The man considered a person of interest in a missing woman's case appeared in court today.
Investigators say he violated his home detention agreement. Now, this is Casey Young. The 44-year-old woman from Spartanburg was last heard from May 15th. A missing persons report was filed after Young didn't show up for work the next day. Now, at the time, investigators say Young lived with her boyfriend, Aaron Collins, on Pratt Drive.
Collins reportedly told deputies he and Young got into an argument after she got home from work and that she left in her car and he stayed at the home. The solicitor says Collins unplugged security cameras at their home and manually deleted videos from the security system that night. Investigators say he was captured on surveillance at a nearby apartment complex and he can be seen driving, parking, and wiping down Young's car while wearing gloves. He was arrested and charged in June with obstruction of justice and grand larceny. He's also considered a person of interest in Casey's disappearance.
Now, Collins was in court today. His defense attorney asked for changes to his bond conditions, but investigators say he violated his home detention agreement. The state says they found tactical gear and an AR-15 where Collins was living. His attorney says the firearm does not belong to him and the home detention agreement does not make sense due to the charges he faces.
Your Honor, I'm not sure what the purpose of the home detention was on grand larceny. I'm not sure the state proved that it took it without permission. The alleged vehicle belonged to someone he lived with at the time. And as a result of the home detention, Your Honor, he can't go to the house that he purchased because home detention says you can't live within a mile of where the alleged victim lived.
The firearm was actually not found in the closet. The firearm was found leaning up against the wall next to the dresser. With the door open, clear view, nothing shut, it would be out of sight, out of mind. There wasn't just an AR-15 leaning up against the wall. There was also a tactical vest, a SWAT helmet with night vision, police radio inside that residence as well with the AR-15.
Now, the judge has not made a decision on if he will change Collins' bond.